The Cleveland Browns are falling apart, and nobody seems to be in control. Inside their facility right now, confusion is running the show. Egos are clashing behind closed doors, and the quarterback room looks more like a reality TV set than an NFL locker room. We're talking about a team so dysfunctional that their head coach has literally stopped saying one of his quarterback's names in public. You can't make this stuff up. On one side, you've got Dillon Gabriel, a rookie who can't seem to stay upright in practice. On the other, Shedeur Sanders, a natural-born playmaker launching absolute rockets to Jerry Jeudy and winning over the entire fan base with every throw. Yet somehow, the coaching staff is pretending he doesn't exist. What's happening in Cleveland right now isn't just a quarterback controversy, it's a full-blown organizational identity crisis. Every day, new footage, new quotes, and new leaks make the story even crazier. And the deeper you dig, the more it starts to feel like something much bigger is brewing, something the Browns desperately don't want anyone to see. It all started with a single clip, a shaky 30-second video from Browns practice that somehow flipped the entire fan base upside down. The moment it hit social media, Cleveland went from quiet optimism to pure chaos. In the footage, Shedeur Sanders drops back effortlessly, scans the field, and fires a bullet across the middle. A perfect strike to Jerry Jeudy, who doesn't even have to break stride. The ball placement? Surgical. The velocity? Unreal. The chemistry between the two? Instant. You could practically hear the collective gasp from Browns fans watching it online because this wasn't some routine practice rep. It looked like a quarterback in total command, a guy who already knew the job was his. And as that video kept gaining traction, something fascinating happened. Every frame of it started to tell a bigger story. You could see Jerry Jeudy's body language shift, the quick head nod after the catch, the smile that said, "Yeah, this guy's different." You could see teammates watching from the sideline, whispering, nodding, reacting like they were witnessing something special. That clip became more than a highlight. It became evidence, proof that Shedeur wasn't just hype, he was ready. But here's where it gets interesting. While the internet was busy crowning Shedeur as the next big thing, the Browns coaching staff stayed completely silent. No comment, no acknowledgement, nothing. Almost like they were hoping the story would just disappear. But it didn't. It only grew louder. Because if that short clip showed anything, it's that Cleveland might be sitting on a franchise quarterback, and for some reason, they're the only ones pretending not to see it. And while Shedeur's video was breaking the internet, something very different was happening on the other end of the field. While Shedeur Sanders was out there looking like the second coming of prime Aaron Rodgers, Dillon Gabriel was having what can only be described as a walking nightmare. Literally. During that same stretch of practices, a clip surfaced of Gabriel nearly getting knocked over, not by a linebacker, not by a defensive lineman, but by someone casually walking past him. No pads, no impact, just gravity. The internet saw it, and the internet did what it always does. It roasted him alive. One comment summed it up perfectly. Dillon's got plenty of experience with 5-yard checkdowns. No need to practice those. He's already mastered them. Brutal, but painfully accurate. Watching Gabriel run this offense feels like watching someone drive a Ferrari in first gear. Technically, it moves, but there's no excitement, no rhythm, no danger. Every play looks safe. Every throw looks calculated. He's the kind of quarterback who will complete 20 passes in a row and still somehow leave you wondering if any of them mattered. There's nothing wrong with efficiency, but when you've got an explosive receiver group and a fan base starving for something electric, safe just feels like slow death. Gabriel's playing style is fine on paper, smart, quick, conservative, but football isn't played on paper. It's played in moments, and right now, every big moment seems to swallow him whole. Fans have started comparing him to vanilla ice cream at a gourmet dessert bar. Technically solid, but completely uninspiring. You don't leave the restaurant talking about vanilla, you leave talking about the flavor that surprised you. And right now, the only surprise Gabriel's giving Cleveland is how long the coaching staff plans to stick with him. Because while he's thinking and dunking his way through practice, Shedeur's on the other field dropping bombs and igniting a firestorm. The contrast couldn't be more obvious. But here's where things go from bad to bizarre, because normally when one quarterback struggles and another is lighting it up, coaches at least acknowledge the situation. Not in Cleveland.
Instead, the Browns' leadership seems to be pulling off one of the strangest PR disappearances in recent NFL memory, and it all starts with a name they suddenly refuse to say. Here's where the story goes from odd to downright surreal, because somewhere along the line, the Cleveland Browns coaching staff made a collective decision that nobody, and I mean nobody, would say Shedeur Sanders' name out loud. Not in press conferences, not in interviews, not even in casual sideline chatter with the media. It's like the man became a ghost. Tony Rizzo from ESPN Cleveland actually went back and watched 8 straight pressers from head coach Kevin Stefanski and offensive coordinator Tommy Rees, and guess what? Not once did either of them refer to Shedeur by name. Not once. Think about that for a second. You have a quarterback on your roster throwing absolute darts in practice, lighting up social media, winning over fans, and your coaching staff is acting like he's Voldemort in cleats. He who must not be named just happens to be wearing number 2 and throwing the best footballs your facility has seen in years. When reporters pressed Stefanski about the quarterback situation, his answers felt like they were copy-pasted from a PR manual titled "How to Say Absolutely Nothing for 5 Straight Minutes." Every response was the same: generic, deflective, and robotic. "We're evaluating all our guys. Competition brings out the best in everyone. We're confident in our process." It's the kind of corporate coach speak that means less the more you hear it. Tommy Rees, the new offensive coordinator, didn't help either. He spent an entire presser defending Dillon Gabriel's leadership qualities and command of the huddle, like he was reading from a script written by Gabriel's agent. Meanwhile, the one name everyone wanted to hear, Shedeur, never left his lips. Fans noticed, the media noticed, and now the silence has become louder than any statement they could possibly make. Because here's the thing, when you go out of your way not to talk about someone, you're actually saying a lot. You're saying there's tension. You're saying there's confusion. You're saying something's happening behind the scenes that you don't want the public to see. Maybe it's friction between Shedeur's camp and the coaching staff. Maybe it's politics. Maybe it's just fear. Fear of what it means if the rookie actually outplays the guy they publicly backed. Whatever it is, the energy coming out of Berea feels off.
Even veteran beat reporters are calling it the strangest media blackout they've seen from this organization, and that's saying something. Stefanski's acting like Belichick without the rings to justify it. Stone-faced, guarded, and borderline dismissive when asked about the most important position on his team. And the craziest part? Every time he refuses to mention Shedeur, it only fuels the fire more. The silence has become its own headline. The mystery, its own storyline. But that silence didn't just frustrate fans. It woke up the Cleveland media machine. Because when coaches start hiding things, reporters start digging. And one man in particular decided he'd had enough of the smoke and mirrors. When the coaching staff went quiet, the Cleveland media got loud. Very loud. And leading the charge was Tony Rizzo, a veteran broadcaster who's seen every flavor of dysfunction this franchise has ever cooked up. He's covered the Johnny Manziel circus, the Baker Mayfield soap opera, the Deshaun Watson drama, but according to him, this one tops them all. Once your coach starts not making sense, Rizzo said on air this week, it's the beginning of the end. That line hit like a thunderclap across local sports radio. Because he's right. When a coach stops communicating, when explanations turn into riddles, it usually means they've lost control. Rizzo's frustration has been boiling over for days. On his show, he ripped into Kevin Stefanski's handling of the quarterback situation, calling it organizational malpractice. He said what every Browns fan was already thinking but couldn't quite put into words. That Cleveland is somehow managing to sabotage another promising quarterback before he even gets a real shot. His co-hosts tried to play devil's advocate, suggesting maybe the coaches were protecting Shedeur or maybe he wasn't ready yet. Rizzo wasn't having it. He fired back with receipts, practice footage, stats, body language, all pointing to one conclusion. Shedeur Sanders looks like the better quarterback, and the staff's refusal to acknowledge him is flat out bizarre. At one point, Rizzo got so animated that he half-joked about sneaking into the Browns facility disguised as a laundry guy just to see what's really going on behind the scenes. The man is fed up, and honestly, so are the fans. Because it's one thing for a team to struggle, It's another to act like they're running a secret government project instead of a football franchise. Reporters are openly calling out the team's PR department now, saying press conferences have turned into painful exercises in saying nothing. The tension between the media and the organization hasn't been this bad in years. And that's the irony. For a team trying so hard to control the narrative, they've completely lost it. The more Stefanski dodges questions, the more the story spins out of his hands. Every clipped answer becomes a soundbite. Every no comment turns into a headline. The Browns are no longer dictating the story, they are the story. But while the media wages war on the coaching staff, one person has managed to stay above the chaos, calm, focused, and unbothered. Because while grown men in suits are melting down on camera, Shedeur Sanders is out there quietly showing everyone what a real leader looks like. While the Browns' front office burns and the media turns every day into a new headline, Shedeur Sanders is doing something almost unheard of in Cleveland. He's keeping his composure. No cryptic social media posts, no frustrated sideline blow-ups, no leaked quotes from sources close to the player. Just quiet confidence, laser focus, and a calm that almost feels unnerving when you realize how insane the situation around him has become.
In his most recent interview, Shedeur gave the kind of answers that say everything without saying much at all. When asked about the noise, he smiled and said, "We don't feed negativity, we stay positive, that's the new wave." Simple, mature, and dripping with restraint. You can tell there's more he could say, a lot more, but he refuses to take the bait. Then came the line that got everyone talking. Sometimes you've got to slim your personality down because not everybody understands it. That wasn't just a quote, that was a message. Between the lines, he's telling you exactly what's happening. He's being asked to tone it down, to stay in line, to dim his light just enough to make certain people comfortable. But here's the thing. Shedeur Sanders was raised in the spotlight. He's been around cameras, controversy, and criticism his entire life. His father, Dillon Sanders, practically built a brand out of confidence and swagger, and Shedeur inherited every ounce of that, minus the ego. So when people question his demeanor, when coaches suggest he needs to be more reserved, it's almost laughable. Because the same energy that built primetime is now being asked to sit quietly in the corner of an NFL facility. And yet, Shedeur's not fighting it publicly. He's playing the long game. Those who've been around the team say you can feel the difference when he's on the field. The tempo picks up, the energy shifts, guys rally around him, receivers sharpen up their routes. Even veterans like Jerry Jeudy respond differently. There's a spark that wasn't there before. That's not hype, that's leadership. It's the intangible quality that separates franchise quarterbacks from roster fillers. And Shedeur's showing it in every snap, every rep, every interview where he refuses to lose his cool. Meanwhile, fans are starting to notice that composure too. They're calling it prime patience, a mix of his father's charisma and his own quiet discipline. It's what makes this whole situation so frustrating for Browns Nation. Because here's a 23-year-old quarterback handling a full-blown media circus better than the men paid to lead the team. He's not bitter, he's not panicking, he's not throwing anyone under the bus. He's just staying ready. But that calm exterior, don't mistake it for passiveness. Behind the scenes, you can feel the pressure building from fans, from media, even from players. Because the longer Cleveland keeps this kid on the bench, the more obvious it becomes. The Browns might be ignoring the one thing they've been searching for decades to find. And if that's true, then this whole situation isn't just mismanagement, it's history repeating itself all over again. Because for the Cleveland Browns, quarterback chaos isn't just bad luck, it's a tradition. And what's happening now might be their biggest mistake yet. To really understand why Browns fans are losing their minds right now, you have to look beyond this season, beyond Dillon Gabriel, beyond Shedeur Sanders, beyond Kevin Stefanski's cryptic press conferences. You have to look at the last 25 years of heartbreak, false hope, and quarterback roulette that has defined this franchise since its rebirth in 1999. Because what's happening right now, it's not new, It's a rerun. Just another chapter in the same painful story Cleveland fans have been watching for a quarter of a century. The Browns' quarterback timeline reads like a graveyard of what-ifs. Tim Couch, the golden boy of 1999, battered behind a non-existent offensive line until his confidence and career crumbled. Brady Quinn, the hometown hero turned national punchline. Brandon Weeden, older than some of his teammates as a rookie and somehow still managed to look lost. Johnny Manziel, the flash of hope that burned out faster than a sparkler in the rain. Deshaun Keyser, Cody Kessler, Colt McCoy, names that flash by like ghosts in Cleveland's long nightmare of mediocrity. Baker Mayfield gave the city
Taste of success, a playoff win, swagger, belief, and then even that collapsed under the weight of politics and pride. And then came Deshaun Watson, the supposed savior, the $230 million fully guaranteed answer to 2 decades of dysfunction. Only it didn't work. It never really has. Injuries, inconsistency, off-field controversy, all the hallmarks of the Browns curse, reborn in a new era. And now, after all of that, the team might finally have stumbled onto a player who feels different, who looks the part, acts the part, and inspires the fan base again. And somehow, they're ignoring him. That's why the outrage is so intense. It's not just about a quarterback competition, it's about a fan base that's been gaslit for 25 years, told over and over again that this time it's different, only to watch history repeat itself in slow motion. The Browns always seem to find new ways to sabotage their own success, and Shedeur's situation feels like déjà vu for anyone who's lived through the last decade of this madness. The franchise has cycled through coaches, GMs, quarterbacks, owners, even logos. But the dysfunction, that stays the same. Cleveland is a football city in its DNA. It's loyal, passionate, and heartbreakingly patient. The fans have endured snow games, blown leads, controversial calls, and enough quarterback controversies to fill an encyclopedia. They don't expect perfection. They just want something real to believe in. And for a fleeting moment, when that footage of Shedeur and Jerry Jeudy went viral, they did believe again. They saw a spark, a glimpse of what could be. But the Browns being the Browns, that hope now hangs in limbo, trapped between a coaching staff that seems allergic to bold decisions and an organization haunted by its own history. Because the sad truth is, this franchise has made losing feel normal. They've made dysfunction look routine. And right now, they're on the verge of doing it again, snuffing out the next potential star before he ever gets a fair shot. And that's why this story feels bigger than football. It's not just another who should start debate. It's a reflection of a team that can't get out of its own way. A team cursed not by luck, but by leadership. And unless something changes soon, the Browns' 25-year quarterback curse isn't ending anytime soon. In fact, it might just be entering its most tragic chapter yet. But as the curse drags on and fans' patience wears thin, a new battle is brewing. One that's playing out not in meeting rooms or locker rooms, but online. Because if the Browns won't say Shedeur's name, the fans definitely will. If the Browns coaching staff thought they could silence this story by staying quiet, they severely underestimated one thing: the Cleveland fan base. Because while Kevin Stefanski was dodging questions and the front office was pretending nothing was wrong, the fans decided to take matters into their own hands. And what started as frustration has now exploded into a full-blown movement. The internet has become ground zero for what many are calling the Shedeur Rebellion. Every major Browns fan page on X, Instagram, and Reddit is buzzing. Clips of Shedeur's practice throws are everywhere, dissected frame by frame like Zapruder film. Fans are editing together slow-motion highlight reels, syncing them to dramatic music and posting captions like, "Start the future! Start Shedeur!" Entire threads are dedicated to analyzing his footwork, his pocket presence, and his chemistry with Jerry Jeudy. The man has barely taken an NFL snap, and yet he's already got a grassroots campaign louder than half the league's starters.
Then there are the Gabriel defenders, the small but loyal group who argue that Dillon just needs time, that he's learning the system or earning trust. But even they're getting drowned out. Because
For every cautious take, there are 10 angry comments saying what most fans feel deep down, they're tired of waiting. They've waited 25 years for a real quarterback. They've watched the same script play out over and over. Safe decisions, lost seasons, wasted potential. And now, when they finally see something different, something exciting, the team seems determined to bury it. The hashtags tell the story better than any press release ever could. Hashtag free Shedeur, let him play, Browns blind spot. They're everywhere. On Twitter timelines, on fan art, even popping up in YouTube comment sections of Browns pressers. Some fans have even changed their profile pictures to Shedeur's jersey number, a subtle protest against the team's silence. And the longer the Browns ignore it, the louder it gets. One viral post summed it up perfectly. The Browns spent 2 decades looking for a quarterback. They finally found one, and now they're pretending he's invisible. That post racked up thousands of likes and shares, even catching the attention of national sports personalities who started weighing in. Suddenly, what was once a local controversy has turned into a national storyline. Inside Cleveland's online community, things have gotten almost tribal. You've got Team Shedeur, armed with stats, highlights, and passion, and Team Dillon, clinging to the old-school mentality of trust the process. But the truth is, most fans aren't picking sides anymore. They're picking progress. They just want the Browns to stop overthinking it, stop micromanaging it, and start playing the best guy, period. And the wildest part? This fan rebellion is actually influencing the conversation. Reporters are now opening press conferences by quoting tweets. National shows are running segments with fan-made footage. What started as frustration has become momentum. The fans have become the pressure. The coaching staff can't ignore questions from the media, but they can't ignore thousands of people chanting one name every Sunday. Because in Cleveland, fandom isn't passive. It's generational, emotional, and loud. And right now, that collective voice is echoing through every corner of the NFL conversation. The Browns might still be trying to control the narrative, but at this point, it's too late. The fans have already taken it back. And as that noise grows, one question hangs over everything like a storm cloud. What happens when the people inside the building can no longer pretend they don't hear it? Because once the fans start leading the conversation, the organization has 2 choices: listen or watch the whole thing burn. And judging by the history of this franchise, you can probably guess which one they'll pick. At this point, the situation in Cleveland has gone beyond confusion. It's entered conspiracy territory. Every sports show, podcast, and Twitter thread has its own theory about what's really going on behind closed doors. Because, let's be honest, none of this makes sense. You don't ignore a quarterback lighting up practices, captivating fans, and commanding respect from teammates unless something deeper is happening. The only question is, what? One of the most talked about theories comes straight from local media insiders: friction between Shedeur's camp and the coaching staff. According to multiple reports, there's been philosophical disagreement, which in NFL speak is just a polite way of saying the coaches don't like how the player or his circle operates. Rumors suggest the staff might be wary of the attention Shedeur brings, the cameras, the coverage, the primetime spotlight that follows every member of the Sanders family. They want quiet professionalism. He comes with built-in celebrity. But here's the irony. Cleveland needs that kind of energy. The franchise has been lifeless for years, desperate for relevance. Yet, somehow, the one player capable of giving it to them is being told to tone it down.
Another theory making waves is that Kevin Stefanski simply doesn't want to admit he might have picked the wrong guy. Some insiders believe Dillon Gabriel was his project, the quarterback he wanted to mold, the safe, system-friendly passer who fits his conservative play-calling style. Admitting that Shedeur might already be better would mean admitting failure in judgment.
And for a coach under pressure, that's the kind of admission that gets you fired. So instead of pivoting, he's doubling down, riding Gabriel until the results are undeniable, or until it's too late. Then there's the financial angle, whispered quietly among analysts. Stefanski signed an extension last year, giving him job security, and maybe, some say, too much of it. The theory goes that he's now coaching with a sort of "I'll do it my way" mentality, prioritizing control over results. When Tony Rizzo said Stefanski looked like he was at the "I don't care anymore" stage of his tenure, fans laughed. But the more you watch, the harder it is to dismiss. The body language, the short answers, the refusal to adapt, it all lines up. And of course, the internet always finds room for the wild theories. Some claim the Browns' front office made promises behind the scenes, that Dillon Gabriel was guaranteed starting reps as part of his rookie deal, or internal politics tied to agent relationships are in play. There's no hard proof of that, of course, but in the world of NFL power games, stranger things have happened. Others think it's simply fear. Fear of the unknown. Fear of another PR disaster. After the Watson debacle, the last thing the Browns want is another media circus. And Shedeur, fair or not, attracts headlines. Maybe they think keeping him on the bench keeps the noise down. But the irony is painful. By trying to silence the storm, they've created a hurricane. Whatever the truth is, it's clear something's broken inside that building. The players can feel it, the media can see it, and the fans can sense it. A winning organization doesn't operate in shadows like this. They don't hide their stars. They don't punish talent for being visible. Yet here we are, a team with one of the most promising young quarterbacks in football actively pretending he's invisible. And that's why every theory, no matter how crazy, sounds just plausible enough to believe. Because when a franchise has a track record like Cleveland's, it's not paranoia, it's pattern recognition. Fans have seen this story before, and they know exactly how it ends if something doesn't change soon. The only question left is, who's brave enough inside that building to break the silence? Because if this stalemate continues much longer, the noise outside might get loud enough to force someone's hand. And once that happens, there's no going back. Because when you try to bury a story this explosive, it doesn't disappear, it erupts. And right now, all the pressure in Cleveland is building toward one inevitable breaking point. Every controversy has a breaking point, a moment when the pressure inside finally exceeds the spin holding it together. And for the Cleveland Browns, that moment is coming fast. You can feel it building with every passing day, every practice clip, every post-game presser where Kevin Stefanski dodges another question about his quarterbacks. The walls are closing in, and this franchise, already teetering on the edge of implosion, is about to face the music. Because here's the thing about NFL locker rooms. Players know. They always know. They see who's performing, who's struggling, who deserves their respect. And when the guy lighting it up in practice is being treated like a ghost, that starts to fracture the room. Veterans lose trust. Young guys get frustrated. The atmosphere turns toxic. That's not media speculation. That's football reality. And right now, you can practically hear the cracks forming in Berea.
The coaching staff is running out of time to control the narrative. Every snap Dillon Gabriel takes and every mistake he makes is fuel on the fire. Every sack he takes, every missed read, every stalled drive, it's all becoming ammunition for the fans and the media calling for Shedeur Sanders. And once that narrative catches flame, it spreads like wildfire. The reporters who were cautious last week are now bold. The local radio shows that once gave the staff the benefit of the doubt are now leading with "When will Shedeur start?" segments. The questions are no longer whispers, they're headlines. Inside the building, it's only a matter of time before ownership starts asking those same questions. The Haslams didn't pour millions into this team just to watch them flounder while a star-in-waiting collects dust on the bench. The NFL isn't a patient league. When the results don't match the excuses, heads roll. And right now, Kevin Stefanski's "we're evaluating all our options" routine is starting to sound less like a plan and more like a countdown clock. And make no mistake, the explosion won't just be internal. The media storm that's forming around Cleveland could become a full-blown national spectacle. Once mainstream networks start running montages of Shedeur's perfect passes alongside Dillon's game day stumbles, it's over. You can't PR your way out of that. It becomes a story bigger than football, a story about a team that refuses to learn from its own history. Fans are already reaching a boiling point. Home games are turning into divided theaters. Cheers for Shedeur warming up on the sideline, groans every time Gabriel takes another sack. Social media has become a pressure cooker of memes, outrage, and disbelief. The team could ignore reporters, but it can't ignore 60,000 people chanting a player's name in the stands. Once that moment happens, and it will happen, the coaching staff loses control for good. The inevitable is no longer a question of if, but when. When does the front office cave? When does the media stop playing nice? When does Shedeur finally step onto the field and force everyone to admit what they've known all along? That this kid was ready, that the Browns had their guy, and they almost let him slip through the cracks. Because the truth is, this story only ends two ways. Either Shedeur Sanders gets his shot and rewrites the narrative, or the Browns implode, again, under the weight of their own indecision. And given this franchise's track record, it's almost poetic that chaos might be the only thing that finally brings clarity. The silence, the tension, the denial, it can't last much longer. The storm is coming. And when it hits, it won't just expose a broken quarterback room, it'll expose everything wrong with how the Cleveland Browns operate. The question is whether they'll learn from it, or just add another name to the long, tragic list of what could have been. Either way, one thing's certain. The fuse has been lit, and Cleveland is about to feel the blast. So here we are, standing at the edge of yet another Cleveland Browns saga, one that feels both brand new and painfully familiar. The names change, the faces rotate, but the pattern never seems to break. A franchise built on hope, haunted by hesitation, and now staring down the same question it's been avoiding for decades. When will they finally get out of their own way? Because this isn't just about one quarterback battle. This is about identity. It's about a team that's forgotten what boldness looks like, a team that talks about competition but hides from it when the results get uncomfortable. The Cleveland Browns have a player in Shedeur Sanders who brings energy, leadership, and natural star power, everything this franchise claims to want. Yet they're treating him like a distraction instead of a solution. That's not just bad management, it's self-sabotage.
And the craziest part? The fans see it. The media sees it. Everyone on the outside knows exactly what's happening. The only people pretending not to notice are the ones inside the building. It's the same movie Browns fans have been forced to watch over and over. Flashes of brilliance buried under layers of stubbornness, pride, and indecision. And every time, it ends the same way, with Cleveland asking, "What if?" instead of saying, "We did it." But maybe this time can be different. Maybe this moment, this controversy, this chaos is what finally forces change. Maybe it's what pushes this organization to stop playing scared and start trusting talent. Because sooner or later, Shedeur Sanders is going to get his chance. It might not be today, it might not even be this season. But when it comes, everyone will see what fans already know, that this kid isn't just hype, he's the real deal. And when that happens, the same coaches who ignored him, the same reporters who doubted him, and the same fans who questioned him will all have to admit it. The Browns had their guy all along. They just didn't believe it soon enough. But hey, that's Cleveland, right? Beautiful chaos. Glorious dysfunction, the heartbreak that keeps football fans coming back for more, because as wild as this story has become, you can't look away. And that's the power of the NFL's most unpredictable franchise. So now it's your turn. What do you think is really going on inside that building? Are the Browns protecting a plan we just don't understand? Or are they making one of the biggest coaching blunders of the season? Drop your thoughts below because I want to hear your theories. Team Shedeur or Team Dillon? Where do you stand? And if you've made it this far, hit that like button to show some love, subscribe for more real football breakdowns like this, and turn on that notification bell so you don't miss the next twist in the Cleveland chaos. Because this story, it's not over, not even close. The fuse is burning, the storm is building, and when the explosion hits, we'll be right here to break it all down. Stay locked in, Stay curious, and as always, welcome to the beautiful mess that is Cleveland football.